Good morning, everyone. Today is Wednesday, November the 8th, 2023. I hope everyone went out and voted yesterday or the days prior to yesterday. Um, it's important that our voices are heard, um, that our votes are counted. So I hope that everyone got out and voted yesterday. But today is Wednesday, November the 8th, 2023, and we are back with a new edition of News in Motion. If this is your first time tuning into News in Motion, News in Motion is our news outlet for relevant commentary and call to action news. We can be found on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, or any audio and podcast services, platforms such as Apple Podcasts or anything like that. But most of the time, we are here on YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn. Um, but if you are joining us here live here at 7:25 a.m., or if you were catching the replay, whether it be in the afternoon, the evening, or near the nighttime, especially at 7 o'clock with these daylight savings times, y'all, it be looking dark outside. But we just want to say thank you for all your support. Thank you for tuning in as y'all are coming up in here on this wonderful hump day. It is the middle of the week for all of our working people out there. Good morning to you, Miss Shirley Nicholson. Good morning, Miss Adrian, tuning in through YouTube. Good morning, Miss Jackie. Good morning, Miss Deborah Johnson, tuning in through Facebook. Good morning, Miss Shardina. Good morning, Mr. Kenny Stanley. He's back at it again, day 2. Hope you are doing well, Mr. Big K. Hope you are doing well. Good morning, Miss Regina Shorts. Good morning, Mr. Lewis Pryor the third. Good morning to my mom, Miss Latrice Jones. Kenny Stanley says, everyone have a great day. You as well. You as well. And good morning, Miss Marian Jackson. So, without further delay, y'all know what we do over here. Let's get ready for some news in motion.
News in motion.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Kenny, before you get out of here, let us know how seminary is going. How are your classes? Please put that in the chat. We miss you. We're going to have to figure something out. I know we have you on Saturdays at 6:30, but we also miss you here. So you're going to have to figure that out, buddy. All right, I see you, Jackie. Jackie says, hey, Kenny, how are you doing? Robert Holman, good morning to you. Lori Wallace, good morning to you. Latrice Jones said, share. Thank you so much. And Fred Jones, good morning to you. All right, y'all, we have some recap that we're going to talk about today. A lot is going on. A lot is going on. I'm going to give you my political analysis this morning as well. And I see you, Hester Jackson, coming in here again. Shout out to you and the work that you are doing. Listen, I'm going to just tell y'all this. Hester Jackson is going to be on the cover of magazines, okay? Being a hotel, a Black woman hotel extraordinaire, doing some major things. Don't y'all sleep on her. Don't you sleep on her. Deborah Johnson, thank you so much. It's been a year with the hair. It's been a year. And it's so funny. Someone wrote in the other day and said, so you're letting your gray come in? Well, I am 58. Let the gray come in. I see you, Kim Edmondson. I see you, Deborah Sneed. Shout out to all of you who worked the election polls yesterday. Kim Edmondson, Adrian, I believe Yvonne Gardner. If I missed anyone, please put your names in there. And if you're sitting here thinking, wow, let me get a jump on 2024, you can go ahead and sign up to get your training at powerthepolls.org backslash news in motion. Again, powerthepolls.org /news in motion. If you know somebody who may be interested in working. Lori Wallace said Hester Jackson is making it happen. Go Jesus. That's what I'm talking about. You are very welcome. And Kenny Stanley, he did give us a thing. He said classes are going well. a lot of reading. I know you got Professor Dr. Dudley's class, and writing, but he loves it. So good to hear that. Good morning, Dr. Antoinette, and good morning, Stephanie Burbridge Hall. Good morning, good morning, good morning. All right, y'all, let's give some election results, and then I'm going to give you my analysis. So you want to pay attention here, okay? In Kentucky, the incumbent governor, Governor Andy Beshear, won over the AG Daniel Cameron. They didn't think he was going to win, but he pulled that out yesterday. He did. In Mississippi, the incumbent governor, Governor Tate Reeves, the Republican, won over Brandon Presley. And it was just a really interesting take on that. The people say they don't like Governor Tate Reeves. So how he was able to pull that out was interesting. In Ohio, issue one, which was to establish a constitutional right to abortion, a yes vote would amend the Constitution to give individuals the right to make and carry out one's own reproductive decisions, including abortion. The yes won at 56.6%. Issue two in Ohio legalized marijuana. The possession and use of marijuana would become legal for people 21 and older, and its sales would be authorized. The yes vote won at 57%. In Pennsylvania, the Supreme Court, that was a tight race. The Democrat Daniel McAfee won over the Republican. In Virginia, where a lot of shenanigans were taking place. Okay. Good morning, Tracy Burrs. I went through a lot of this with you all yesterday, but in Virginia, remember there were 3,400 um, uh, legal voters that were purged, and it like at the 24th hour they put them back in there, but there was a lot of confusion. Well, see, when you play games, this is what happens. The state and the House of Delegates won. The Democrats won. So the Democrats flipped the House of Delegates and maintained the control of the state Senate, which they're working with a Republican governor. Doesn't look too good for Youngkin. So that happened. All right, y'all. In other state election results in Colorado, the people voted no to making changes to state property taxes and revenue limits. In Maine, the people voted yes to require voter approval for public utility debt. The people also voted yes to prohibit foreign governments. Get this one, y'all. To prohibit foreign governments from spending money to influence the election. I think all of us need to adopt that one. Now, this initiative would make it illegal for companies or entities owned or controlled by foreign governments to spend money to influence voters on the state referendum. So the people voted yes to prohibit that. And also in Colorado, the people voted no to creating a publicly owned utility company. So that's happening. In New Jersey, wow, this is the first time this has happened since 2013, you all. The entire government is now controlled by the Democrat Party. Good morning, Jeff Payne. Good morning, Karen. So, y'all, that's what's happening in New Jersey, the first time since 2013. In the state of New York, Proposal 1, which is to change the debt limit for small city schools districts, the people voted yes to remove the debt limit for small city school districts. The smaller districts have argued that the limit was unfair when they were trying to tackle more ambitious projects to improve schools. So that debt limit has been removed. And then in Texas, Proposition 4, which increased the homestead tax exemption. Y'all kind of like this one. I wonder if Ohio can adopt this one. The people voted for the proposition that will make multiple changes to property taxes. Hold on, let me tell y'all what they did. It would this proposition will provide a tax break for homeowners by increasing the homestead tax exemption or the part of the home's value that cannot be taxed. Now get this, y'all. They raised the exemption to $100,000. It used to be $40,000. I was like, what? We need to adopt that here. Dr. Antoinette said, my nana used to say, God don't like ugly. That's what happened with Virginia. They were like, we're not doing that. So, y'all, that's a recap of what's been out there. A lot of things happen. Now, I want y'all to listen to this. Regardless of your political stance, what was clear on yesterday evening, and I just gave y'all a recap of what I gave y'all 8 states, maybe 9 states, and there were others. Democrats won big yesterday with the help of independent voters and the moral compass on human rights, whether you agree or disagree. Um, Democrats won big, and they didn't think that was going to happen anywhere. Now, this sets the stage for 2024. Again, agree or disagree, this is what is before the American people, and the American people spoke, okay? Now, as stated in a report by USA Today, and I'm going to quote this, it says, last night served as a prelude for voter sentiment on key issues and how Republicans and Democrats will fare on the national stage next year. And I believe we'll begin to see that tonight in the third GOP debate that's going to take place in Miami starting at 8 p.m. Eastern time this evening. So hold on before I even get to that. Now, from my seat as the political analyst, okay, and needs for 2024, and I want y'all to pay attention to this because I was paying a close attention to all of these different narratives and how the exit polling was faring. Okay, again, regardless of what side of the aisle you're on, you know me, I told y'all I'm in the middle. And again, the graph will be ready that I'm going to post in the Friday rundown with Gail on Friday in the electronic newsletter. If you want that free subscription, all you have to do is go to gaildudley.com. There will be a pop-up box. You just complete the pop-up box. Your name is automatically added, and you will get that Friday about 8:25 a.m. Eastern. Again, you can go to gaildudley.com. The pop-up box will come up. You can complete that. But here are the key elements, I believe, for the 2024 general election in terms of promoting a fair and inclusive democratic process. Now, these are some key elements I believe that we need. Nonpartisan voter registration. Okay. Yesterday was clear. Again, it appeared that the Democrats won. Okay. It appeared that way. But they did it with the help of independents, Republicans who are somewhat moderate. Okay. That's how they won. The Democrats didn't do this on their own. The human rights activists and their narratives and what they're putting out there. Also, the work, the groundwork. And notice, let's take Ohio, for example. The groundwork in Ohio, it was silent, but it was happening. Because for the longest, you could look at issue 2. I'm going to use issue 2, legalizing marijuana. You're like, nobody's talking about this. But their quiet ground game was on point. Again, agree or disagree with the outcome. Their ground game did that. There's no way they could have pulled that out if their ground game wasn't on point because nobody was talking about it. So everybody was talking about issue 1 in Ohio. And even with that, people were like, well, there's going to be confusion with that because in August, it was the opposite. Well, actually in August wasn't the same referendum that was in November. And people were conflating the two and they were confusing the two. And that's why I encourage you all to read. Reading is important when you're looking at these referendums, these measures, these constitution pieces that we're putting in. You got to pay attention. So nonpartisan voter registration is key. The thing is not to say, here, I want you to vote Democrat. When you are registering people to vote, you are registering people to vote, not for a party. Not for a party. Kim Edmondson says a lot of people didn't know about issue 2 because it was silent. It was like, does this even exist? Yeah, side note, and I'm coming back to this because I want to take my time. This is Workshop Wednesday, by the way. But I went to vote yesterday, about 10 o'clock or so. And I'm in there voting, and I hear this voice say, "Hi, Mrs. Dudley." And I turn to my side. Y'all, this was a young lady who used to crawl around in our church. I said, "You can vote?" I mean, it was just like, wow. And then along with that, she says, "I listen to you every morning." What? You never know who you're touching. You never know. But it just did something for me to say, this little girl who was crawling around and had a bottle in her mouth or a pacifier in her mouth, and we were changing diapers, was voting. Like, what is going on? So that is happening. Yes, Marion Jackson, reading is fundamental. So you have your nonpartisan voter registration, ensuring that voters' registration processes are accessible, transparent, and nonpartisan is crucial. People, I think what we saw yesterday across the United States is that people are, they're like, forget all these titles. This is how I'm going to vote based upon my moral compass, human rights, what's right and fair. People also sent the message to Virginia, we're not playing your tricks. You're going to purge me, and I'm legally registered to vote. And then the last 24 hours, you're going to confuse me. They sent a message to Youngkin again, and that could have even been a Democrat governor, but he happens to be a GOP governor. But they were like, we're not playing your games with you anymore. People are becoming wise and smart. So when we're out here registering people to vote, this is how we need to register people. The next thing is nonpartisan voter participation. Encouraging high voter turnout and engagement among eligible citizens, regardless of their political beliefs, is essential for a healthy democracy. And I think we're even seeing that right now with the former guy in this fraud case. People are like, you know what? I would be in jail by now. I would be in under contempt of court by now. And people, even on that side of the aisle, is saying, no, this isn't okay. And people are starting to stand up and raise their voice and talk about what's really happening here. Hey, Dr. Annette, how you doing? And so nonpartisan voter education. And y'all, those three things are three things that the News in Motion team and the News in Motion ambassadors are going to go forward with come January 2020. And if you want to become a News in Motion ambassador, please email us and just put in the subject line, hey, I want to become a News in Motion, or you can just do NIM ambassador. What do I need to do? We will send you the PDF so you can see different steps that you can take. We're doing that. We're wanting to do that, and we're going to be training you free. We're going to be training you. We think this is really important. So encouraging high voter turnout and engagement upon within eligible citizens, and then providing unbiased, fact-based information. Fact-based information, y'all, about candidates, the issues. We're going to take issues and we're going to break them down so there's no confusion. So you don't have to rely on the commercial to tell you what's true or not. We're going to break those things down. That's why we've been looking for some researchers, and we're trying to figure out how we can pay for some researchers to make sure everything we're doing is fact-based. Y'all know here on News in Motion, if we find that we made an error, we come back and we let you all know the next day or as soon as possible to let you know that we've made an error. We want to make sure you're getting fact-based information. All right, we're going to talk about the voting process and how it can empower the American people to make informed decisions. We're going to talk about civic education and initiatives that promote critical thinking. Y'all know here I've been very intentional each week giving you a list of questions that we should be asking at town hall meetings or things that we can do. We're looking at different issues and using critical thinking with the questions to determine, okay, where do I really stand here? That's who we are. That's what we're doing. And we're not veering off of that left or right. And then we're going to talk about media literacy, how we're going to vet these news sources and these commercials, and then how we can also contribute to a more informed electorate. The other thing, election integrity. We're going to hold people's feet to the fire. That's what we're doing. I don't care if there are 10 of us who are tuning in every day, although there's 1,000 replays a day or more. But we're going to come together and figure out how we're going to hold people's feet to the fire. So election integrity is key, ensuring the integrity of our electoral process, including secure and transparent voting systems. We shared yesterday the voting rights line. We shared the election protection line. We're going to make up some postcards, and we're trying to figure out how to do it now. And I don't know if Mike Nicholson's on here or not, but I keep seeing an app. And I've been researching how much an app's going to cost us to design it. It ain't cheap, but we're going to figure out how we can get this done, and hopefully we can get this up and running by January the 3rd, 2024, so that you can have this and it's easily accessible. We're going to also talk about campaign finance. We're going to talk about that, addressing the campaign finance issues. Y'all remember in 2020, I was sharing with you billions of dollars was being spent in 2022 in one race alone in Georgia, billions of dollars just in commercials. And then redistricting reform, we need to keep talking about that, looking at these lines. There's a lot of state maps that are in the Supreme Court right now. And the redistricting, and we need to talk about that. Accessible voting. I learned yesterday people were contacting me throughout the day saying, hey, I'm with somebody who's visually impaired and there's not a visually impaired ballot. What do they do? I'm like, what do you mean there's not a ballot for them? There should be a ballot. And by the time I spoke with some people at a particular polling place, the woman said, oh, that's what this box is for over here. And she was able to help assist the person. But we need to be aware of what's available so that we can make sure people have the accessibility they need to vote. And then youth engagement. I believe now's the time we need to continue to work in our young people so that they have the information and the power at their hands. Public debate and discourse. Yeah, these key elements can help ensure that the 2024 election are conducted fairly and that the voice of every eligible voter is heard regardless of their political affiliation. Yeah, we are here. Yeah, we can lean one way or the other every now and then, depending upon the topic. That's who we are. We haven't changed, but we've always been fair and balanced here. So we're going to be promoting nonpartisan approaches to voter registration, participation, and education. We believe it is crucial for the success of any democracy. If y'all have any suggestions, please put them in the chat. With that, I'm going to turn the table just a little bit or change course just a little bit. CIA Director William Burns, this is so important, y'all, arrived in Israel on Monday and had been visiting nearby countries on the trip focused on diplomatic efforts to free the hostages and to contain the war spread. And this is coming out of the New York Times. Now, Israel announced, Prime Minister Netanyahu, that he's going to continue to put the pressure on. He believes if he continues to bomb, once they start releasing hostages, he will pull back. Well, he did agree to a pause this morning just to get some more aid into Gaza. So there's a small pause, but they're going back to full-on attack as soon as the aid gets in there. In the middle of all of that, if y'all remember last week, I told you about George Santos. He survived being expelled. But now, on yesterday, they voted to censure Representative Rashida Tlaib. They decided to censure her. Now, in the House rejected a motion to table McCormick's resolution with a 208 to 213 vote on yesterday afternoon. Now, a censure doesn't really resort into any real repercussions, but it does signal that the representative has done something that their colleagues don't approve of. 22 Democrats crossed over and voted with the Republicans on censuring her. And this is all coming from she's like the sole Palestinian American in Congress. And she's been very vocal, sharing what she wanted to share, putting things out there. The question is, and this is a question I want all of us to answer here on News in Motion. If you're in the chat, if you're watching, if you're listening by podcast, you just keep driving. But for those of you who are in here listening, and I want you to weigh in on this, is there a difference between her and George Santos and what he's doing? You know, he got some convictions coming his way. Her and Marjorie Taylor Greene, her and Lauren Boebert. Are there differences? And is she being specifically singled out to be censured? Or is there something else going on here? these are the kind of questions we need to ask before we just quickly respond and say we're forward or against it. So if you don't mind, as I'm continuing the news, please put that in the chat and we'll come back through and pick it up. And Isaiah, if you see something, just pull it up and we'll talk about it. So in other news, so that's kind of like the House, the Senate, the voting, the election, and so forth. Dr. Antoinette says definitely a difference. Kim Edmondson says, her ethnicity is the difference. Okay. Keep putting them in here. I want us to talk about it. So we have today Ivanka Trump, who will take the stand today. She is President Donald Trump's oldest daughter. She is slated to testify today after yesterday's craziness in the courtroom. I mean, downright crazy. Even some of the audio that came out, not the video, the audio that came out, and how it was a mess. So it's going to be interesting to see her take and see how she will respond today. This is the high stakes New York civil fraud trial. The results of this case could permanently block her father and her brothers from doing business in the nation's financial capital, and could cost the Trump family empire about $250 million in penalties. So that is happening. Dr. Annette says, I don't know if something else is going on or not, but they got to stop with the selective censorship crap. There's that. Yeah. Kim Edmondson said, what happened in the courtroom? Let me give you a real quick piece in here. He was he was doing this on purpose. He was purposefully debating the judge. And I'm like, dude, do you know he has your fate in your hands? Because your attorneys didn't sign off on a jury trial. So he's the one that's going to make all these decisions. He was talking back. He was calling out AG Letitia James. He was calling out her assistant. He was sitting there making comments. I mean, at one point the judge had to tell his attorneys, get your client under control. And then he had to tell him, answer yes or no. It was almost as if he thought he was on a campaign rally or something. The judge was close to calling contempt, but never called contempt. And a lot of pushback is that if any of us would have been on that stand, we would have been in contempt and we would have been in jail. Jackie said, yes, she's being targeted because she presents an unpopular viewpoint, talking about Representative Tlaib. Yeah. So that's what was happening with him yesterday. Many of you may have heard that Ivanka Trump did not want to come to the court, and she cited that because she has young children. But the judge hit back and said, your children were younger when you were flying all over the world. So he wasn't buying it. So he did say she needed to show up. So she is to show up today. So that's going to be interesting what view she's going to take and how she's going to respond. Yeah, the third GOP debate is happening tonight in Miami. AP reports that foreign policy and the Israel-Hamas war are expected to be front and center. But some of that has shifted. Listening to Lester Holt and Kristen Welker of NBC, who will host tonight's debate from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m., is stating that they're going to look at the election results to see if any of their stance will change. There are only 5 who are going to be on stage tonight, and people are expecting Nikki Haley to really rise to the top between those 5, and they'll believe that when it gets to the primary, it's going to really be her and the former guy. So we're going to see how this all plays out as well. So that's tonight on NBC. The Supreme Court, you all, hears oral arguments on the Second Amendment case, challenging a federal law that prohibits people under domestic violence restraining orders from owning firearms. So that too is on the forefront. We'll hear that outcome in the spring, I do believe. Latrice Jones says, now that we have passed this $1 million levy for Columbus City schools, we need to attend and participate in the school board meetings. The next meeting is this evening. So any of you who are in the Franklin County area or within the area of Columbus City Schools, make sure you check that out. Latrice Jones is a perfect go-to to get all the information you need on that. So please take heed. If you're in that district, take heed to that and go forth and hear. So thank you, Latrice, for posting that. It's so important when we're going into this general election. Again, I told y'all yesterday, everything that happened yesterday sets everything up for 2024. So you cannot ignore what happened in voting yesterday or what has happened the last 6 months. You cannot ignore that. You can't just say, okay, that's over, we're going over here. That carries over. Those dots connect. And when we talk about town hall meetings and having those critical thinking questions and going to listen, let's not just wait until the news announce something. Go and take notes and hear it for yourself, or rely on somebody who's a trusted source who are attending those meetings, so that you have a better understanding of what's happening. You have a better understanding of that. All right, y'all. Y'all remember this report that I shared? It was early this year, like maybe January, February, when we were they were really big on AI as AI was rolling out. And then you had all these tech giants saying the CEOs were signing letters. They were putting out like a full page ads in New York Times and so forth. Y'all remember that? Remember Elon Musk was leading that charge? Y'all remember that, right? Well, in TechCrunch and Wall Street Journal, they done busted him. He has a secretive AI firm. Did y'all know that? Didn't see that coming, did you? I didn't. It's called XAI. I don't know why everything's X for him. He is not Malcolm X, okay? But it's called XAI. And he introduced his first product called the chat box named Grok. And I guess Grok chat cracks jokes, has access to X data, and will allegedly solve the secrets of the universe. I don't know what that is. But Elon Musk, XAI, releases Grok limited beta testing, a generative AI large language model. Now, he says that X subscribers will get early access to the X's AI's chat box Grok. Yeah, they say this is like billions of dollars. So he was signing to stop chat GPT and others from being out there when he was secretively building his own. I thought I would put that out there for y'all to hear. Y'all in Washington, D.C., excuse me, why they are giving residents air tags for their cars to make it easier for police to track them down when stolen. The city is dealing with a lot of car theft right now. Aren't we all? It's just crazy. Fred Jones just put the eyeballs out there and said, what? Yeah, that's what's happening. Yeah, now I don't know about you, and I like to fly, but EV planes are starting to be in the sky. Yep, electric planes. Beginning with the aviation startup called Beta Technologies. I don't think I want an electric plane. Keep filling that up with some fuel. Okay, just keep doing that. All right, as I go into our inspirational message today, and by the way, you all seem to really enjoy. We got a lot of feedback from last Thursday where we were answering questions. So if you have any questions for me, we were going to keep that segment there. If you have any questions for me, make sure you send them in today before 5 so we can add them to our script for in the morning. You can send them to newsinmotionwithgail@gmail.com. Again, that's newsinmotionwithgail@gmail.com. You can ask anything, but it doesn't mean I'm going to answer anything. But people seem to enjoy that yesterday, so please submit your questions. Kim Edmondson says, XAI is not very discreet, Elon. It's not. Lori says electric planes. That's a hard no. Listen, yeah, that's a hard no. That's something about that. So I want to talk about protecting our loved ones. I don't know if you've been following this story, and I actually had this story. I was going to talk about it on Monday. We didn't have time. I was going to talk about it on yesterday. We did the special election. So I'm bringing it in today. Y'all, there's a Pennsylvania nurse who is facing additional charges after prosecutors said she admitted to trying to kill 19 patients in her care, according to the state's attorney general. This is in Pennsylvania. She's a Pennsylvania nurse. Her name is Heather Presty. She's age 41. She was already facing charges after Pennsylvania Attorney General Michelle Henry said the registered nurse from Natroa Heights confessed to intentionally administering a lethal dose of medication to 3 patients at the Quality Life Services nursing facility in Shikora, I believe, a borough in Western Pennsylvania. She was charged in May with homicide and attempted murder after 2 men ages 55 and 83 died, and a third was hospitalized, they said in a news release. Now, on last Thursday, the office filed additional charges related to the mistreatment of 19 other patients that she said she had treated from 2020 to 2023 at 5 different care facilities. The new charges includes 2 counts of first-degree murder, 17 counts of attempted murder, and 19 counts of neglect of a care-dependent person, according to the release. Now, in total, 17 patients who were being cared for died. So I know you're probably like, how are you going to make an inspirational message out of this? I am. We have to take care of our loved ones. If we see something, it made me go back to my mom being in the nursing facility. We were there every day. There was never a time that we were not there, except for maybe when she was asleep. And even then, there was probably somebody sitting in the chair, even throughout, it off and on in the evening. Yes, she admitted that. I guess once she decided, she's like, well, by the way, there's 17 others. She has admitted that. And y'all can Google it. Her name is, excuse me, her name is Heather Pressdee, Pressdee, age 41. That's in Pennsylvania. So the inspirational message is we need to start having conversations with our loved ones now, regardless of age. They can be 2 years old, letting them know if ever anyone is abusing you or you're uncomfortable with them, talk to me about them. I think one thing, we get into our own stuff, which is we can easily do that, but we cannot neglect those. Even if we notice them being silent and we know they're normally talkative, ask the question, hey, everything good? How you doing? What's been going on today? Finding those questions to ask so that we understand what's really happening with and to our loved ones. I can remember when my children would get in the car or they would come home from school and they would be a little different. Hey, tell me about your day. What happened? How, what kind of class did you take? Asking the right questions can get to the root of something else that's going on. Sometimes they were just tired. Other times there was something going on. Whether it was a teacher or a friend or a student or admin, whomever, just asking the right questions. So my inspirational message today is to be aware, to use your awareness and to ask the right questions. But it starts with having a genuine love for someone. Even the students that are on my street where I live, we live in a cul-de-sac. And there's times I'm outside and I see them walking to and from the bus stop. And sometimes they're happy and sometimes they look like they're just dragging. I'll ask, hey, how was school? How are you doing? What's happening? Talk to me. How are your grades? Did you have a good day today? Was it a hard day today? Because who knows? They may share something with me that they may not share with their mom or dad. But of course, if it's something I need to alert their mom and dad, I will do that. So y'all become neighborly. The word says, love your neighbor as yourselves. Today is a good day to start doing that. All right. Okay, y'all. Until tomorrow. Again, if you have any questions for me, send them in. newsinmotionwithgail@gmail.com, and we will answer them. We will be here all next week, meaning Monday through Thursday, our regular time. But the week of Thanksgiving, we are taking a week of rest. Then we will return. I think we'll be here until the 15th of December or the 14th, that Thursday of December. And then we will be out until January the 3rd. All right, y'all. Until tomorrow, I am your host, Gail Dudley. This has been News in Motion. You know what I say? Stay well, continue to move, make some bold moves, and live your life in abundance. We're out.
motion.